In this video, we take a look at events that took place on January 13, 2019. Surveillance cameras captured 17-year-old Agustina Imvinkelried all alone, leaving a bowling club she had gone to with her friends. Several hours later, it became evident that Agustina was missing, and her family started looking for her. Shortly thereafter, she became the topic of conversation in the small Argentine town of Esperanza, where she lived, and news about her soon spread throughout the country. Agustina was born on June 6, 2001 in Esperanza, where she lived with her big family. As the youngest of her parents' 5 children, she always received preferential treatment. It is a common fact that the youngest child in the family is always given more attention because of their age. Agustina was described as sociable, kind, and always smiling. Just like most young people, she enjoyed hanging out with friends, whether it was at the movies, bowling venues, discos, or simply with a ukulele in her hands. Esperanza is a small town of slightly more than 40,000 inhabitants, with most of its residents knowing each other. The town's limited amount of entertainment options contributed to the fact that all the young people there inevitably ran into and knew each other in one way or another. Thus, Agustina's parents got worried but were not afraid for her, permitting her to go out and spend time with her friends, their only condition being that she must stay in touch and send her whereabouts. On Saturday afternoon, January 12, 2019, Agustina's father dropped her off at a friend's house where a group of about 6 people were planning a get-together. The girls had arranged that once everyone was gathered, they would head out together to a nightclub and bowling center called Teos. Agustina told her father that she would spend the night at a friend's house after exiting the club and come back home in the following afternoon. She was dating a guy named Nahuel. They seemed to get along well and their families knew each other. That night, at about 1 hour before midnight, Agustina messaged Nahuel and asked him to go to the club, but he refused, telling her that he was tired. Later, the young man would come to regret staying home that night. Agustina and her friends were having a great time at the club. They had carefree fun, danced, and enjoyed the music. By 5 a.m., the friends had decided it was time to leave, but Agustina encountered another group of her friends who were also at the club, and she decided to spend some more time there. Thus, the group separated. Her friends headed home while Agustina continued with a different group of friends. At 5:40 a.m., a surveillance camera captured Agustina walking out of the venue carrying a cell phone. Upon leaving the premises, she went to a fast food stand. Agustina waited for her turn, received her order, exchanged a few words with an acquaintance, and proceeded towards the road. The friend's house where she was going to spend the night was not far away, so Agustina decided to walk there. It was getting bright, and she seemed at ease about her safety. There were no sidewalks, as you can notice, and one could only walk along the side of the road. It is unclear if Agustina had been drinking alcohol that night, but the footage shows that even though she had high-heeled platform shoes on her feet, she walked quite steadily. She only veered slightly to the side when approaching the driveway, but this isn't surprising considering the site is an unpaved road with rocks. She might have just tripped. In addition, it should be noted that in the club Teos, there is an age division. One zone is reserved for those under 18 years old, so alcohol is not sold there. Agustina eventually never arrived at either her friend's house or her own home. Her parents had always been aware of her location because she had always told them. This time, however, when morning arrived, they noticed that their daughter did not text to tell them that she had made it to her friend's house and that she was all right. So they became worried and tried to reach Agustina but didn't manage to do so. Her number was unavailable. The parents knew that she was expected to stay the night at a friend's house, so they contacted her friend, who informed them Agustina had not returned from the club. The friend also told the troubled parents that Agustina had remained at the club with another group of people. After contacting all of his daughter's acquaintances and finding that no one had any idea where she might be, Agustina's father called the police and also started searching for his daughter on his own. Daniel M. Winkelried was a well-known man in town, being the president of a local soccer club and owner of a small company for manufacturing and selling furniture. When they learned that he was in distress, many locals volunteered to assist with the search. Agustina's friends were able to raise awareness of the case via social media, resulting in it being covered on television news programs. Having commenced the investigation, and with the knowledge that Agustina had been at Teos Club all night, police officers headed there to speak to potential witnesses and examine the surveillance camera footage available at the venue. Aside from footage showing Agustina walking towards the road, this revealed nothing new. The officers then, aware of which way she had gone, began questioning people that lived by the roadside, along with the staff of various businesses in the area. It was possible that somebody had seen or heard something, and any kind of clue was significant. One of those who heard about Agustina's disappearance through social media was a friend of hers named Brian. After noticing the big number of posts devoted to finding Agustina, Brian contacted her father Daniel and told him that he had seen Agustina outside Teos Club around 6 a.m. He had been driving along and spotted her standing on the side of the road speaking with the driver of a silver car that had stopped next to her, a few hundred meters away from the club. Brian proceeded down the road, but he immediately grabbed his phone and called Agustina. He asked if she was okay and whether she might need a ride home. She said she was fine, and that the man driving the silver car had stopped and warned her that it was not safe to be walking on this road as she might be hit by traffic. She accepted Brian's offer to give her a ride and stated she was going to a friend's house. There was a gas station a few hundred meters from where Brian spotted Agustina, so he decided to stop there, wait for her, and fill up the car. When Agustina didn't show up at the gas station 15 minutes later, Brian decided to go get her himself, but she was nowhere to be found. His efforts to contact her were also unsuccessful, as she did not answer. He didn't give it much thought at the time, assuming that Agustina had just gone right to her friend's house and had forgotten that he was waiting for her. Given all these facts, the primary clue was a silver car. Brian couldn't say for sure what brand and model the car was, but according to him, it was fairly old. The man sitting in the driver's seat could have possibly been the last person to see Agustina. The possibility that he might have been linked to her disappearance was also not excluded. When the police tried to track Agustina's cell phone, they discovered that the last time it picked up a signal was from a tower in the same neighborhood as the Teos Club. With the club being on the outskirts of town, there were a lot of vacant lots and fields, which is where the search teams concentrated their attention. Of all the organizations along the road Agustina was walking along, only this gas station had surveillance cameras. Daniel had gotten there to look at the footage and ascertain whether or not his daughter had reached that location. Considering where her friend's house was located, Agustina was bound to pass by the gas station. After Daniel explained the matter to the gas station attendant and asked for help, the attendant, being a father himself, showed him the footage the camera recorded that morning, almost losing his job as a consequence. Later, the gas station owner decided to dismiss him for allowing an unauthorized person to view the footage without permission. When the town's residents learned of this, they organized themselves and started refueling their cars elsewhere. This tempered the gas station owner's anger. He reinstated the employee and issued an apology to him and the residents of Esperanza. When Daniel reviewed the footage captured by the gas station's cameras, he did not find his daughter on it. It appeared that Agustina never got there. However, the footage did show the very same old silver car that Brian had previously described. It had gone past the gas station at about the same time Agustina was walking along the road. It was a Renault car, and Daniel figured out who it belonged to. Its owner was the 39-year-old Pablo Trionfini, a municipal employee, more precisely, a garbage man who lives under a kilometer away from the gas station. He had no prior criminal record, but had come to police attention on several occasions. The first time was when his ex-wife reported him to the police for beating her. This resulted in a court order prohibiting Trionfini from approaching his ex-wife. He was then arrested a second time for breaching that order. Both of these incidents happened in